Appendix 2. A note on recent developments in epistemology. Having accepted modern philosophy, scientists of the 20th century are amazed that their mathematics works, that calculations can put a man on the moon with accuracy and assurance. Thus, Remo J. Ruffini, a physicist at Princeton University, has observed, quote, "How a mathematical structure can correspond to nature is a mystery. One way out is just to say that the language in which nature speaks is a language of mathematics. This begs the question. Often, we are both shocked and surprised by the correspondence between mathematics and nature, especially when the experiment confirms that our mathematical model describes nature perfectly. This surprise and shock automatically pose a different question, which some people choose to answer in a religious manner and others refuse even to ask. At this point, the decision involves recognizing the presence of a God who has arranged it all. To some people, the question does not make sense. After pulsar, stars that have undergone partial gravitational collapse and are emitting light in sharply defined pulses, also called neutron stars, were discovered. I spoke with Emilio Serge, who was awarded the Nobel Prize for his discovery of the antiproton. I told him we were finally convinced that we had found neutron stars. And Serge, speaking in elegant, old-fashioned Italian, said, quote, "Perhaps God is so powerful that he could find a way of making a pulsar than a neutron star. How can you be so definite in saying you have found a neutron star?" End quote. He was alluding, I think, to the problem of the theoretician, which is not just to find a correspondence between his theoretical framework and the physical world, but to find the unique correspondence. End quote. Correspondence between logic and factuality in a world of chance variations is indeed a cause for shock and mystery. Since Kant, philosophy has been committed to the autonomy and ultimacy of man's mind, but it has not been able to forget that things in themselves are out there and are somehow to be explained. As Reck has observed in a discussion of C.S. Lewis, quote, "Plagued with explaining the uniformity of nature and finding none, empiricists have nonetheless continued the rule of induction from past to future experience. They have proceeded with practical correctness, but without theoretical justification." End quote. The fact of correlation and correspondence is recognized. Some, like F.C.S. Northrop, have named the process, quote, "an epistemic correlation," end quote, but they have not thereby given us any valid reason for it in terms of their presuppositions. Much earlier, Thomas Reid, 1710 to 1796, opposed Hume's epistemological skepticism with his common-sense philosophy, or the doctrine of preventative realism. For this school, objects in the outer world are presented to the consciousness directly, not through an intermediate process of sensations, so that, instead of a second-hand impression, the mind has a direct connection with the real object itself. However, this in itself led to a problem, as Sahakian notes, quote, "No distinction is to be drawn between what a thing seems to be and what it is in reality, since nothing intervenes between the knower and the object of his knowledge, the external world of reality. But if real objects are precisely identical with our perceptions of them, how could there be any possibility of perceptual error?" End quote. The implication of such a position is the infallibility of man's mind, but it is still a dubious infallibility in that it requires a link, a dependence on the external world of reality. This link some recent philosophers have severed. The principle of the fall, that truth must be abstracted and separated from God, is now carried further. First, truth was recognized in terms of Scripture as inseparable from God. Truth is what God says, does, is, and ordains. God and his words and works cannot be judged by an abstract criterion of truth, because God is truth in all his being. Second, truth was abstracted from God and made a common pursuit of God and man. Both can know the truth or fall short of the truth. Truth is associated either with abstract ideas or with the facts of the external world. In either case, it is separate from God and man. Third, after Kant, truth has been more and more closely identified with the mind of man, as in existentialism, so that a new infallibility without any external frame of reference and similar to the biblical doctrine of God's infallibility is affirmed. Truth is what man is and does and, quote, doing your own thing, end quote. The hippie standard of the 1960s is affirming yourself as ultimacy and truth. In such a perspective, science is at least irrelevant, and knowledge really means self-knowledge. The consequence is the collapse of society and the bankruptcy of philosophy.